Hello and welcome. This is Annette Schellenbarger, founder and owner of Chandra Ayurveda. Chandra Ayurveda is an Ayurvedic clinic and spa. And welcome to this video. This video is a short video on Ayurveda, where I'm going to be defining what Ayurveda is and also explaining what is a dosha or constitution and why is it important that you know your dosha. So before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about why I love Ayurveda. So I started learning about Ayurveda when I started to practice Ashtanga yoga, which was over a decade ago. And what I loved about Ayurveda is that it was a very practical, common sense type of healing modality. It made total sense. And once I understood what my constitution was, I didn't have to worry about what kind of diet I should be on and getting caught up in the latest fad. I began to understand why I had certain tendencies and why I was the person that I was. And I understood where I was out of balance or out of harmony and what I had to do to get back into balance. So it really made sense to me. And it helped heal some of my emotional imbalances that I had at the time. And it also helped to heal some of my digestive issues. And most importantly, I really understood myself, and I was able to forgive myself because I was very critical of who I was. But then when I understood, no, this is your dosha, Annette, it was like, oh, okay. And I was able to be more compassionate with my own self. And when we begin to understand and love ourselves, it becomes easier for us to then be compassionate and loving towards others. So it begins with really getting to know who you are. And Ayurveda gave me that ability. And that, I believe, is priceless, where I understand who I am. And it also helps me understand where I'm going and how I need to live my life in order to be not only in harmony, but in order to be resilient and to be able to have a strong immunity and be able to deal with the stressors that are coming at me. So it really gave me the tools to be able to be strong, healthy, and vibrant. And again, most importantly, it really helped with my emotional and mental health. And that to me was very, very important because I wasn't in harmony or in balance when it came to my mental health and my emotional health. So it really helped me in that respect. All right, so what is Ayurveda? So Ayurveda literally means the wisdom of life, and it's about how to live in harmony with nature. Now, Ayurveda, you may or may not know this, but it's the sister science of yoga. So yoga, on the one hand, deals mostly with the mind and to a lesser extent the body. Ayurveda deals mostly with the body and to a lesser extent the mind. And so the two sciences together work beautifully in helping you stay balanced and helping you prevent disease, as well as dealing with the symptoms that do arise. So it's a beautiful healing medical system, and especially the two together. Now, as I was saying, Ayurveda, the wisdom of life, how to live in harmony with nature, how to live in harmony, and how to stay balanced and resilient and get older without necessarily aging. So it's a beautiful medical system. It is one of the oldest medical systems known to mankind. It's over 5,000 years old. Some say it's more like 10,000 years old. What we do know is that all healing modalities have their roots in Ayurveda. So Chinese medicine has its roots in Ayurveda, and even modern Western allopathic medicine has its roots in Ayurveda. Ayurveda defines the world through elements. So it says that everything in this world, including yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, is made up of the 5 elements. And when we combine these elements together into pairs, we create a force of energy called a dosha or constitution. And so we're constantly striving to keep this force of energy balanced. And that is where we sometimes get out of balance, is when the dosha becomes out of balance, the force of energy becomes out of balance. So understanding what constitution you were born with is very important, because you will know what your tendencies are and where you tend to get out of balance, and then you'll know what qualities you need to bring in to get yourself back into balance, back into harmony. Now, every person has their own unique constitution. We are made up of different percentages of each element, and so there are no two people that are exactly alike. It's kind of like a fingerprint. So everyone's constitution is unique to them, and that is why, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, when we prescribe a certain protocol, a treatment, an herb, it's very unique to the individual, because they are unique. Their constitution is unique to them. There is no other person with that same constitution. And so the treatment has to be unique as well. And so Ayurveda is beautiful in that respect. And then we see the person as a whole, not just the physical body, but we also look at the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspect as well. Okay, so as I was saying, Ayurveda says that everything in this world is made up of the 5 elements, and the 5 elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So earth being the heaviest and ether being the lightest. And when we combine these 2 elements together, we create what we call a dosha, or a constitution, a force of energy. When we combine earth and water together, we create what we call the kapha dosha. And the kapha dosha is the densest, the heaviest of all 3 doshas. It has to do with solidity. It has to do with being the building block, the structure of a person. And it's dense, and it's heavy, and it's, like I was saying, solid. The other constitution is what we call pitta, and pitta contains the elements of fire and some water. And just as it sounds, it has fire, so it's hot. It's a heated type of constitution, and it signifies digestion and transformation, and also the ability to see clearly, and discernment. And when I say digestion and transformation, I'm not just talking from a physical sense, but I'm also talking from a mental sense, that we're able to digest information and understand it. So it has to do with that element, or that quality of being able to transform. Fire transforms, right? Fire changes. It also brings clarity to things. It illuminates. And so pitta dosha has to do with the aspects of transformation, digestion, and illumination. And then finally we have the the vata dosha, which contains the elements of air and ether. So it's a very light constitution. It has to do with movement and sound and communication, and it's the force that moves everything. Without the air quality, there is no movement. And so we do need that air quality to get things going. It's also a very creative type of constitution. That's where a lot of the creativity and the ideas are from the vata dosha. And so each one of us contains all of the 5 elements and all 3 doshas, but we have different percentages of each. So someone who has a lot of kapha dosha in them, that means they have more of the earth and water qualities. They are the ones that are more stable, more solid. A person with a lot of kapha tends to put on weight more easily. They don't lose weight as easily. They might get stuck in the past. On the other hand, they are solid people. They will see things through. You can count on them to complete a project. They are slow and steady, but they are going to complete the project. They're also the people that are your nurturers. They, because of the water quality, they have this quality of being very cohesive, and so they attract people to them. They are the ones that are kind of like your nurturers, like a mother type of image. And you know, if you're a man with a lot of kapha, you are like the grounded one, the one that has strong roots, like a big oak tree. You're the strong person in the group. And that is your kapha person. Now, the kapha person tends to not get information as easily. They're kind of slow learners, but once they learn something, they know it forever. They're kind of slow to start, but once they start, they're steady. So I liken the kapha dosha, when I compare it to like an animal, to use it as an analogy, I compare it to like an elephant. It's a strong, beautiful animal, has a long memory, and it's solid, very solid, and they put on muscle easily. And the other thing beautiful about the kapha dosha is that they have a very strong immune system. They hardly ever get sick. They're strong in all senses, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. They also have the most beautiful skin. They have thick, luscious hair. They have big bones. They're more curvy, and they build muscle really easily. They have big eyes, big teeth, full lips. So they're your luscious people, right? All right, so that is the kapha person. And when a kapha person gets out of balance, they, like I said, they can tend to put on weight. They might get melancholy. They kind of stay stuck in the past. They're hard to get going and moving. They might not be able to come up with new ideas. They're not as creative. So that's kind of like what happens when they're a little bit out of balance, is that they appear depressed. It's not that they're depressed. They just kind of get stuck and dull. And so you got to get them moving. All right, so that's the kapha dosha. Next, we have the pitta dosha. The pitta person, or a person who has a lot of pitta, has a lot of the fire qualities, right? So they're fiery. And I liken the pitta dosha to a lion because they're strong, fiery, and they are your leaders. They get stuff done. They're very competitive. They're your athletes. They are your CEOs. They're very intelligent. When you give a pitta person a task, he will do it just as the instructions say. They follow everything to a T, and they are almost obsessive compulsive about following things just right. And they learn really well, and like I said, they're very intelligent and they're very discerning, and they can analyze and understand things very well. Now, what happens with a pitta person who's out of balance, they can work themselves to the point that they burn themselves out. They forget to have fun. So they are your workaholics, and they are the ones that can suffer from like adrenal fatigue. They can also get so overheated, not only physically but emotionally, and they are the ones that tend to have the tempers and to be sharp in their language or sharp tongue. So they have like the anger issues that are going on. They can have a short fuse. and they are your impatient ones. So that is a Pitta person that is out of balance. But a Pitta person who is well balanced is, like I said, they are your great leaders, the illuminators, and the person who will get it done. Go to a Pitta person, and they're going to get the project finished and done for sure. Okay. Then finally, we have the Vata person. So the Vata person consists of mostly the qualities of, the elements of air and ether. And they are the lightest of all three doshas. So the Vata dosha, or the person who has a lot of the Vata dosha qualities, they are the ones that usually are the lightest in the physical sense, that they don't gain weight as easily. They tend to they are your taller people. They tend to be smaller framed, more delicate features. They have smaller features as well, small nose, small eyes, and thinner skin. They tend to dry up more easily, and they're also very creative, and they are great starters. They're great at coming up with wonderful new ideas and inspiring people and starting the projects. They just fizzle out. They don't have the energy or the stamina to finish things out. So that's where your Kapha person comes in. Now, the Vata person, I liken it to like a hummingbird. They're just everywhere. And so they're constantly changing their mind, constantly coming up with something new. They're very variable. They change their minds. They like many different things. And they're never in one spot, and they're never stable. And a Vata person who's out of balance can lose too much weight, or they tend to have a lot of digestive issues. They are the ones that can become very anxious, very fearful, and as a matter of fact, they are the ones that run the risk of having severe depression and having a lot of the emotional, psychological issues, and a lot of the sleep issues. In fact, most of the diseases from an Ayurvedic perspective come from the Vata dosha. Like almost 80% of diseases consist of a Vata aggravated situation. So it's Vata based. So Vata causes a lot of our problems. On the other hand, without Vata, we would have no movement and no creativity. So it's all good. It's not that any dosha is worse than another. It's just that they have different qualities about them. They have different strengths and different weaknesses. And so when we understand what we're made up of, what our weaknesses are, what our strengths are from an Ayurvedic perspective, what our tendencies are, then it's easier for us to know where we can go off balance, to prevent that imbalance, or if we are out of harmony or out of balance, we can easily bring in the qualities that are needed to get us back into balance. And when we're able to do this, we prevent disease. We prevent the disease from getting worse. We slow down the aging process. We're mentally more stable and healthy and more at peace. And most importantly, our resilience to stress is much stronger. We become very strong from an immune sense point of view. And that is very important, especially in this day and age when we have so many more stressors and so many variables out there that are needing our attention. It's a stressful world. And so Ayurveda gives us those tools to really build our immune system and to really be strong from a stress perspective. So when we understand our constitution, what constitution we were born with, then we know what kind of lifestyle we need to have, what kind of foods we need to eat, what herbs are most beneficial for us, even what colors we should be wearing, what aromas we should be smelling. We know exactly what our mind, body, and spiritual health needs in order to stay balanced. And with Ayurveda, we use a 5 sense organ therapy. So it's not just what we're eating or what we're doing. We're looking at also all the 5 senses. So what's coming in through our nose? What are we smelling? That can throw us off balance or bring us back into balance or back into harmony. What we're looking at, so we use color therapy, for example, what we're listening to, the music or the sounds that we're listening to, they can throw us off balance or bring us back into balance. What are we putting on our skin? What type of oil? So we use everything in our disposal from a 5 sense organ perspective to bring our body, mind, and spirit into harmony, into balance. And this is what creates that strong immunity. It's not just focusing on the body or just focusing on the mind. We focus on the entire system. That's what makes Ayurveda so beautiful and so unique. So I hope this has helped you understand some of the basic concepts or the basic terms of Ayurveda, what Ayurveda is in the most basic form. It is how to live in harmony with nature, how to understand your constitution, and keep yourself in harmony with nature, with your environment, and with the seasons and the day. All right, I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Namaste.